So let's talk about black doctors. I think is very important, especially considering the climate and things that have come out in the news recently. But wouldn't it be amazing, yeah? Wouldn't it be amazing if we start to see more of this?
Oh, I saw her and she hit me like that. Saw that thing so beautiful.
Wouldn't it be amazing to see more black doctors? Yeah. And that was actually a video from America, I believe. But over here, there are a lot of black doctors. They don't really get that shine. They don't really get that recognition. But should they? Yeah. Let's put some shine. Let's put a spotlight on some black UK doctors. This lady here, she's talking about UK doctors that are dermatologists, like their specialty is black skin.
If you know someone who's looking for a black female professional to help them with their skin, hair or nails, send them this video.
I'm Dr. Elioja Chimugu. I'm a hair transplant surgeon and a paediatric surgeon.
My name is Dr. Miriam Balogun. I'm a consultant dermatologist based in London.
I'm Dr. Yvonne and I'm a GP with a specialist interest in dermatology and skin of colour.
Hi, it's Dr. Moira, dermatology registrar.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sharon Bellman. I'm a consultant dermatologist.
My name is Dr. Sarita Dor and I'm a GP with an extended role in dermatology and skin surgery in London.
I'm Lorna Jones, certified trichologist.
Hi, my name's Dr. Evan. I am a dermatology registrar.
That's amazing. I think that is amazing. However, a lot of them say they specialize in skin. Now, can you specialize in skin and not know about melanin? Shouldn't you be getting some form of melanin education? And where is that education coming from? What are you being told with regards to melanin? What are you being told with regards to melanated skin and chemicals? Like, do they know this?
Have I been lied to as a Florida man about sunscreen protecting me from cancer?
Yes, it appears we've all been lied to, unfortunately. This massive study of over 470,000 people confirms it. It's very worrisome that when they compared sunscreen users to non-sunscreen users, the sunscreen users faced increased risks of all the major skin cancers: melanoma, squamous cell carcinoma, and basal cell carcinoma. So all of these cancers were up, but the most worrisome finding was that invasive melanoma was 300% higher risk in the sunscreen users. They accounted for skin color, time spent outdoors, and many other things, sex, age, and they still found these increased risks of the cancers. So when you use sunscreen all the time, you're blocking your body's ability to synthesize vitamin D, which is critical for cancer defense. So you do not want to shut that off. A JAMA study just came out and found all of those active ingredients in the sunscreens get into your circulation. They get into your body above FDA regulatory limits.
Look at that. Now, shouldn't all of the black doctors be taught this? Yeah, so we don't have black doctors going around talking about, yeah, black people, you need to put on sunscreen, black people. This is very important information that every black doctor should know, shouldn't they? Now, let's go back to this sis who done the previous video, who was introducing all of those black doctors. She was on a podcast, a popular black podcast, and they asked her about this this topic with regards to black people wearing sunscreen. Listen to what she said.
So my husband is Ghanaian, grew up in Ghana. We went to South Africa for the first time and he got sunburnt and he was like, how did this happen? He was and I was like, well, how dare you go on holiday with a dermatologist and not wear sunscreen?
I feel like there's a common misconception within the community that people with darker skin tones don't need sunscreen and that vitamin D, for example, isn't that important. Could you please clarify that?
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, this in itself is actually a controversial topic, and it's also something that we need a lot more research on. But the research that we have so far, in terms of do black people need sunscreen to prevent skin cancer?
Do black people need sunscreen to prevent skin cancer? What do you think she's going to say? What do you think her answer is going to be?
But the research that we have so far, in terms of do black people need sunscreen to prevent skin cancer, the answer is probably not. So when they've looked at the mutations that people have in skin cancer when you are of a darker skin type. It's probably not related to the sun. And that makes sense, right? Because we know that when dark skinned people develop melanomas, they're more likely to be on the fingers, on the toes,
Like
on the
Bob
nails,
Marley.
like Bob Marley, exactly. And you don't get sunburnt on your toes. So we know that the majority of skin cancers that are serious in darker skin types are actually not UV induced. They're not due to sun exposure.
Okay, well, there you go. That's it. I mean, shouldn't every black doctor know this, especially if you're a dermatologist? Like, she just laid it out. Surprisingly, she said, nah, black people, we don't get skin cancer like other folks get skin cancer. Our quote unquote skin cancer is in areas where the sun doesn't even shine. You'll get it on your hand or your on your foot or your toe or something like that, which means it's not UV induced. In other words, it's not caused by the sun. Yeah. Every black doctor should know this. No black doctor should be going on TV talking about black people, you need to put on sunscreen. Black people, like, if she knows this, why don't you know this? Yeah. If she got this education, why didn't every black doctor get this education? Now, with that being said, look what she goes on to say.
However, there are other reasons why a black person would want to wear sunscreen.
Uh-oh.
That's to prevent sunburn. So you can get sunburn. So my husband is Ghanaian, grew up in Ghana. We went to South Africa for the first time, and he got sunburnt. And he was like, "How did this happen?" And he was so, and I was like, "Well, how dare you go on holiday with a dermatologist and not wear sunscreen?" And he was shocked. And it can happen because UV indexes are different. Doesn't matter if you grew up in Ghana, if you've seen sun 365 days a year in different parts of the world, you'll be exposed to different UV index, and you can get sunburnt as a black person. So that's one reason to wear sunscreen. Second reason is a lot of us are trying to treat or prevent hyperpigmentation. And by far the most important thing you can do from that aspect is wear sunscreen, without a doubt. So a lot of people will make sure that they put sunscreen on their face every day for the management of hyperpigmentation, which is the main reason why I wear it. And the third reason is this anti-aging. If you want to, slow down, aging is a privilege. Some people don't care. Absolutely fine. But if you do want to slow down your risk of developing wrinkles, and for darker skin types, a lot of our age shows in dark marks. I mentioned that we wrinkle later, but sometimes it's the dark marks that gives away our age. Again, wearing sunscreen is useful for that. So there are lots of reasons to wear sunscreen, but the problem is all the messaging out there is like, wear sunscreen to prevent your skin cancer risk, which is totally reasonable because this country is predominantly white, and that is correct health messaging to go out, but it doesn't necessarily apply to our community.
It doesn't necessarily apply to our community. And unfortunately, she, for some reason, didn't get the memo with regards to sunscreen. Regardless of what you're using it for, it causes cancer. You can just hear what the other video said. Regardless, whether you're using it to protect yourself from the sun or, my Lord, she said for anti-aging, using sunscreen for anti. Listen, you put on sunscreen, you become an experiment. You don't even know what that chemical is doing to you. 10 years down the line, you've got some type of cancer. You don't even realize why you've got that type of cancer. This is why it is my conjecture that every black doctor needs to be taught about melanin, how to take care of their skin, how to take care of melanated skin. Yeah, because as you guys know, there's a difference between melanin and pheomelanin. The black and brown type is melanin. Every doctor should know this. Every doctor needs to learn about how to take, every black doctor needs to learn about how to take care of melanated skin, melanated organs, and even neuromelanin, the type that is in the brain. Every black doctor should know about this. Every black doctor should know about the 12 melanated centers that are in the brain. Yeah. And I'm sure we've got some people from the NHS tuning in tonight. By all means, you guys can raise your hand and ask your questions or make your comments. This is an open forum, but this is my conjecture. I truly believe that every black doctor needs to know this stuff. I feel like it's your duty to know this stuff. You can't call yourself a skin specialist or a specialist in dermatology or that sort of stuff, and you haven't learned about melanin. That doesn't make sense. So, yeah, I truly believe every doctor, especially here in the UK, but everywhere, every black doctor should have melanin education and learn about melanin. Now, If only there was a book that could teach them. If only there was a book out there where they could learn all of this stuff. Wouldn't it be amazing if there was a book for all of these doctors that they could learn this stuff? Learn about the elephant in the room. Yeah? Because if not, yeah, what are they gonna learn? I'm being serious. What are they gonna learn? Like if they don't learn about melanin as a black doctor, what are you gonna learn? What do they teach doctors in the medical industry? What do they teach doctors in the medical education system? Here's a European doctor or white doctor, and he's getting cross-examined about what he learned in medical education, yeah, when he was doing his studies. Now remember, these guys when they get their um their degrees or whatever they get to become a doctor, it takes them what, 10 years, 9, 10 years to get it. That's a lot of training. That's a lot. They have to go through a lot of studying, yeah. But listen to this. Let's see what doctors are actually taught when they go to school.
Okay.
During your medical school training, did you learn about food?
No.
Did you learn about exercise?
No.
What about lifting weights?
No.
What about sleep?
No.
Did you learn how to interpret labs
Well,
for optimal range?
no.
Did you learn about hormones? Like how to prescribe them effectively?
No.
Did you learn how to prevent disease?
Not really.
Did you learn about the side effects of the drugs you'll prescribe every day?
Yeah.
Did you learn that they cause nutrient deficiencies and that those deficiencies cause many of the side effects?
No.
Did you learn anything about what actually keeps a person healthy?
No.
Okay, so and that's them being honest. So can you imagine, like, if you're not getting taught that stuff, you're definitely not getting taught about melanin. Yeah. So again, it's my conjecture that every black doctor needs to learn about. I think every doctor, damn, like this doctor here, he's gonna have black patients as well. So every doctor, but especially if you're a black doctor, yeah, you need to learn about melanin. You need to learn about neuromelanin. You need to learn about eumelanin, and you need to learn about the system that we're in. Yeah, because there's certain narratives that you as a doctor, they might try and get you to push, like the black people are more likely to narrative. Every black doctor should be taught about these racist narratives that the NHS pushes. Yeah. Like this one, the black people are more likely to narrative. And for those who are not familiar with it, I talk about it all the time. But when you go on NHS, this is NHS Choices, they have a section just for black health issues. And they say if you're African or African Caribbean and you live in the UK, you're more likely than people from other cultures to have certain health conditions, including high blood pressure, diabetes, and prostate cancer. Yeah. And then when it comes onto those issues, oh my gosh, we are more likely. We are so more likely. According to the NHS, 1 in 4 black men will get prostate cancer. NHS know it. They're like, yep, 1 in 4 of you will get prostate cancer. Yeah, that's from the NHS. 1 in 4. Now, when you ask the experts, why? Why would black men be more likely to get prostate cancer? This is what we get from the experts. Nothing but waffle and tap dancing. Never a straight answer. Yeah? That's what we always get from the experts. However, again, there are a lot of black doctors now coming up the ranks, and there's a lot of black doctors here in the UK. Here's a young black doctor, and he's on a podcast, yeah, and the podcast host is going to ask him the same question. Why are black men more likely to get prostate cancer? Now, before I play his answer, you guys tell me in the chat, what do you think this black doctor's going to say? Do you think he's going to tell the truth or do you think he's going to tap dance? In other words, not even give us an answer. Literally tap dance around an answer. You guys tell me in the chat. Is he going to tell the truth, or do you think he's going to start tap dancing like the other experts? What do you think he's going to do? Dante said breakdance. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's hear what he's got to say.
If you're noticing persistent issues with your urine, maybe you're struggling to pass urine, or maybe you're having issues where you're going a bit randomly at nighttime, do not ignore it. Do not ignore it, because we are at a higher risk of really serious disease.
Why are black men twice as likely to get prostate cancer?
So we can't deny there are genetic factors.
Oh, genetic factors. I can't wait to hear what those are. Genetic factors. Okay, the reason why black men are more likely to get prostate cancer is due to their genetics. Okay, doctor, please tell us, what is it about our genetics that makes us more likely? I can't wait to hear this. What is it about our genetics?
Get prostate cancer.
So we can't deny there are genetic factors. Kind of looking at the science of it, the biology of it, there are genetic factors, but then it always goes through to the biology as well, in terms of not only are we more likely to get prostate cancer, but the fact that it is aggressive means that you might get symptoms that are ignored over time and all that kind of stuff, really. So I think that to answer that question,
oh yeah,
it's so multifactorial.
It's multifactorial. I'm still waiting for the answer, the genetics though. I just want to hear what the genetics are. But he said to answer the question, so let's hear this.
Get symptoms that are ignored over time and all that kind of stuff, really. So I think that to answer that question, it's so multifactorial. But with that, we do know that if you present earlier, and I know you mentioned about the process as well around it, can be a bit of a blocker for people seeking help.
A rectal exam.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And so it's a thing where it's a communication, basically. So I communicate with my patients, discuss the steps involved.
Communication. Please, what are the genetic factors? That's all I want to know. You said there's some genetic factors. Communicate with us, please.
It's a communication, basically. So I communicate with my patients, discuss the steps involved, but also put it as a phrase that, if we find something serious, then we can literally treat this soon.
Boom. This is what we get. So now you understand why my stance is every black doctor needs to get trained in melanin. Do you understand? Because if not, you just become a tap dancer just like them. He literally said it's due to our genetics and then went on to not say what the reason was. Yeah, it's due to your genetics. That's the reason why black men are thought more likely to get prostate cancer. Okay, what is it? What is it about our genetics? Well, it's multifactorial. This is what we get, whether they're black or white. That's why with me, yeah, when it comes on to black people who get into high positions, like for example, you become a doctor, it means nothing unless something changes with your people on a positive level. Do you understand? So what if you're a black doctor, if you're going to say the same foolishness as the white doctor? So what if you're a black doctor, if you're going to tap dance and tiptoe and waffle just like the white doctor? What's the point then? Do you get what I'm saying? And you guys don't really understand that you're in a system, and that system promotes these false narratives, these very racist narratives, which I call the more likely to narrative. And again, if this is your first time tuning in and you're thinking, what is this more likely to narrative? Let me show you. So this is from ITV News. It says, why black people are 4 times more likely to be detained under the Mental Health Act than white people. And this shows you that it's a system, family. Do you get me? This is not a one-off thing. Watch how all of them are on the same script. That was ITV News. This one is from The Guardian. It says, black people are 4 times as likely as white people to be murdered. Notice the pattern, family. That's The Guardian. This is CNN. Who remembers during the pandemic? Who remembers during the pandemic? Guess who was 4 times more likely to die from COVID-19? According to CNN, black people in the UK were 4 times more likely to die from COVID-19 than white people. Yeah? Notice the pattern. This is the more likely to narrative. And then not to be outdone, you got black men who are more likely to die from prostate cancer. What are black women more likely to die from? Oh, in the UK, black women are 4 times more likely to die in childbirth. In other words, black women are more likely to die from giving life. That's what they want you to believe. And family, I say this over and over again. This is a false narrative. It's a racist narrative. The reason why they put it out is for you to get scared as a black person and come and see them and come get tested. So, for example, the prostate cancer one. Oh, black men, you're more likely to get prostate cancer. Come test, come in and get checked up. You get checked up, and then two twos, they find something, and now all of a sudden you do the treatment. And like I've said before, black men are 4 times more likely to die from the prostate cancer treatment, not the prostate cancer. However, if they die from the treatment, what do you think they're going to put on the death certificate? They're just going to put that they died from prostate cancer. This is what every black doctor needs to understand, so they don't walk around saying the same foolishness that the white doctors say. Yeah. And let me show you how they've remixed the narrative. Yeah. Because those stories were from a couple years ago. Let me show you how they remixed the narrative. This story came out 10 days ago, maybe. Check this out, family. According to The Guardian, black doctors in England are 4 times less likely to get training places than white counterparts. Shock, horror. Yeah? So now you went from being 4 times more likely to die from whatever disease they say. Yeah? Now you're 4 times less likely as a black doctor to get a placement, to even just, you know what I mean, work in a surgery. Yeah? Check this out.
Go grab your chai while I spill mine about how racist the NHS is when it comes to recruiting black doctors. New analysis of the NHS England's data has just been published by the British Medical Journal, and they have exposed that black doctors are 4 times, yes, 4 times.
How many times? How many times?
Black doctors are 4 times, yes, 4 times less likely to be recruited for specialist training than their white counterparts.
They love that
In some
number.
specialist training, it's even less. For example, in anesthetics, only 10 out of 1,158 black doctors were recruited. That's less than 1% That means they are 30 times less likely to be successfully recruited for specialist training in anesthetics.
Crazy.
If I told you a fully qualified black doctor already working in our hospitals has a less than 1 in 100 chance of getting specialist training in some departments, you'd think I was lying. But the data is out and it is mad. Now, to become a specialist like a surgeon or a gynecologist, fully qualified doctors have to apply for these competitive NHS training placements. But researchers just looked at the data and the gap is wild. Overall, white applicants get offered a training spot 47% of the time and black applicants just 12%. That means black doctors are 4 times less likely to get onto these training.
How many times? How many times?
That means black doctors are 4 times less likely to get onto these training courses, and it's the same old story.
Same old story. Again, this is the reason why, family. It is my conjecture that every black person, every black doctor needs to be taught some melanin education. And part of that melanin education is understanding the system that you're in. Understand that you as a black doctor, they're going to, one, make it difficult for you to even get placed, because find a placement, and two, when it comes onto specialist training, they're going to make it damn near difficult for you to get through that specialist training as well. But then three, if you do get through, understand the reason why you got through. They're going to use you as a pawn. Black doctors don't really understand this. The system, they're going to turn around and use you. They'll use your melanin and your face and then hide behind it and say what they really want to say. Yeah. So you become the mouthpiece for them. Never did we see that more than during the pandemic, where they got black doctors to become the mouthpiece for them.
As a black doctor working in the NHS, I have seen the impact of COVID-19 and its devastating consequences at first hand on my patients and their relatives. I therefore entreat each and every one of us to get our vaccination. Protect yourselves, protect your neighbors, your loved ones, your friends, family, and our vulnerable members of society. Yes, we might have questions regarding the vaccination, and we know that there are lots of myths and misconceptions circulating out there. But get your information from the right sources, from trusted sources like the NHS website.
Trusted sources like the NHS website. What did she just say?
From trusted sources like the NHS website, the .gov website, trained healthcare professionals, or even your GP surgery. As we celebrate Black History Month, I entreat each and every one of us to save a life. Save your life. Save my life as I save yours. Thank you.
Now, back then, even back then, family, and this is the reason why, for those of you who've been following me, I say that science is simple. I have my own definition of science. It's logic backed up by evidence, yeah? So that means you don't have to be a scientist to understand science. Just use your logic, your common sense, and then back it up with evidence. Now, if the evidence is not there, then you just got to go with your logic, your common sense. Back then, when the pandemic was happening, oh my gosh, there was so much confusion, so much information, who to believe. But my thing was just logically listening to people, does it make sense? So she said at the end there, you need to take the vaccine to protect yourself and others. And she was like, I'll take it to protect you, and you take it to protect me. Does that make sense, family? That makes sense back then when people were saying, you got to take the vaccine to protect me, and you got to take the vaccine to protect your grandparents. And so I take it, and now you're protected, and you take it, and now it did not make any logical sense. And this was before the evidence. Do you get what I'm saying? It did not make any logical sense. And plus, I understand the system. I know how these people, the usual suspects, I know how they carry on. So I weren't confused about anything that they were doing. I was just like, look at these usual suspects. They are going in with this pandemic, yeah? And all of that confusion as to, take it and protect yourself and that sort of stuff, I made fun of it during the pandemic. This is the reason why they came after me so hard. Every time I was doing a webinar, I was making fun of just the logic behind it. So this is me on Hidden Truth. Big up Andrew Mohammed's Hidden Truth platform. And I was talking about what the real pandemic was. Who remembers this? This was from a couple years ago when I was on Hidden Truth. And I was saying that racism, in other words, white supremacy, that is the real pandemic. Yeah? Listen.
When I asked everyone what is the #1 problem for Black people globally, in other words, what's the real pandemic, most of you said racism. Racism, white supremacy is the real pandemic. So if that's the case, and we call ourselves smart, remember, in order to be smart, you need to be able to solve a problem. If this is our problem, we need to be able to solve it. So we need to follow a code. And it's either that or we get pointers from the smartest people in the known universe. Neely Fuller says that they're the smartest. So if they're the smartest, think about how they're trying to solve their pandemic. So Fauci praises African-American scientists at forefront of creating COVID vaccine. Just look at the way the smartest people are trying to solve their pandemic. They use one of us to promote the vaccine to all of us. Okay, so let's try that then. Shall we follow their code? I don't know, you guys help me out in the chat. Shall we get instead of an African-American scientist, shall we get like a Anglo-European scientist to create an anti-racism vaccine? Let's get one of them to create an anti-racist vaccine. All white people have to take this anti-racist vaccine and get white people to promote it to white people. White people will be like, why do I need to take an anti-racist vaccine? It will prevent you from being a racist. But I'm not a racist. You still have to take it. What? I still have to take it. I'm not a racist. No, you still have to take it. Okay, wait. If I take it, will it definitely prevent me from being a racist? No, you still might be a racist. So why do I have to take? So why do I have to take it? Because you have to take this anti-racist vaccine because it lowers the transmission of racism.
Stop it, Leon.
It lowers the transmission of racism. So you have to take it. Everyone has to take it. Anyone chatting foolishness about the vaccine will just block the information. Yeah? Anyone chatting foolishness will just block the information. Anyone who's an anti-vaxxer will just block them. Delete their profile, delete the video. Yeah? Every white person has to take it.
That's what I'm saying. You just use logic and everything they say goes out the window when you just use logic. Do you get what I'm saying? But this is the reason why every time I saw a black doctor on TV during that time, I knew they were the mouthpiece. So I didn't even look down on the black doctors. I knew whatever comes out of their mouth is what the usual suspects want them to say. So I ain't got nothing against this doctor, who's an NHS doctor. I just knew that he was following a script. So listen to his script.
Hi, I'm Dr. Charles Asene. I'm an NHS GP, and I'm originally from Nigeria. Now, I have been asked on several occasions, does this vaccine affect fertility? The answer is no, it does not affect your fertility. There is no shred of evidence to suggest that the vaccine affects your fertility, either male or female.
Okay.
It is important that when we are called up to have our vaccine, we do step up to have the vaccine so that we can start to move away from this pandemic.
All right, so that's the script that they gave him, and him being a willing participant, he read the script and he said there was no evidence. Remember, this was back in 2020, 2021. He said there's no evidence to suggest that the vaccines affect fertility. Well, here we are in 2026, and guess what? There is now evidence. So this is, and by the way, this is from only last year, 2025. You can see it there. It says, new study, mass mRNA injection campaigns likely fueled the global fertility collapse. Yeah. So that's the story. So it just shows you that a lot of these doctors, especially during that time, they were just following orders. They were just following the script that the usual suspects told them to say. Here is the same doctor. He must have done a good job last time. So they brought him back out to follow more of the script and listen to what he says in this video.
Hi, I'm Dr. Charles Asene. I'm an NHS GP. Now, I've been asked on several occasions if this vaccine has been sped through the trial or production phase. The answer is no. Vaccine trials and production in the past has been delayed by financial and bureaucratic bottlenecks. But on this occasion, we're in a global pandemic, all the financial and bureaucratic bottlenecks have been removed. So we've had the vaccine come out in good enough time. What is it?
Now, you guys might have to read the subtitles, because when I first watched this video, I could not understand what he was saying. But if you lot read the subtitles, he's literally saying that basically vaccines usually take 10 years to create, going through all the trials and all that sort of stuff. But the reason why this one came out so quickly is because there was no financial delays or anything like that. That's literally what he said. In other words, there wasn't no restrictions with this vaccine. That's the reason why it came out so quickly.
Important to note is that the vaccine went through all the steps it should go through in the trial phase. What is even more important to note is that we now have a vaccine that helps to protect us from this deadly virus.
Wow.
Another good news?
Oh, good news.
It has been proven to be safe and efficacious in people of all races and all colors. So it is important.
People of all races and all colors. Isn't that amazing?
Important that when we're called, we go have our vaccine. If you're concerned, speak to your GP so you can make an informed decision.
Speak to your GP who is as confused as I am. And then look what he says at the end. You got to hear what he says right. Listen to this.
And all colors. So it is important that when we're called, we go have our vaccine. If you're concerned, speak to your GP so you can make an informed decision. You can also email us at covid19@afrogp.co.uk and we'll get someone to call you back.
He said, just email us at COVID-19 at afrogp dot I'm a black doctor, so believe what I've got to say.com. Do you get me? They said Afro GP. That is too funny. Yeah. But this is what we were getting during the pandemic. All we were getting was black doctors chatting this foolishness. And again, I ain't got nothing against the black doctors. I've got everything against the usual suspects. The usual suspects put them up to this. However, we still got to put you guys on blast because people, like people have said in the chat, people died from you guys pushing this stuff. Do you understand? So if I was to go deep, I'd be like, you guys got blood on your hands. All the doctors the black doctors that were pushing it. Do you get what I'm saying? Look at this. And this is how you know it's a system. This is how you know we're in a system, family. They used a black newspaper to promote black doctors who were pushing the vaccine. I mean, come on. They used a black newspaper to promote black doctors pushing the vaccine. Again, I'm not going to go in, but if I was to go in, I'd be like, you all got blood on your hands. Do you understand? Look, black doctors over and over again, sponsored posts, which means they were getting paid for it as well. Yeah, hindsight is great, but at the time, you should be thinking, nah, do you know what? Due to my melanin education, due to my black history, due to knowing about how these people always experiment on black people, nah, I'm not gonna just willy-nilly and accept everything that these people are saying. Do you get what I'm saying? Look, throughout the whole of the pandemic, they were just getting black doctors to say absolute foolishness. This says, meet the black doctor who's teaching her community about vaccines online. Yeah. And then this one, I don't know if he's a doctor, but this one says the vaccine remains a personal choice, but this is not a personal issue. In other words, you got to do it to protect your parents. You got to do it to protect the people around you. You got to take the vaccine to protect other people. Absolute foolishness. But what if the black doctors were taught the truth, not only about melanin, but about shots as well, injections, things that they've done specifically to black people over the years. And no one has broken that down better than Reza Islam. Listen to what he says. Listen to how he breaks down how back in the day they used to do these injections, and it's not just Tuskegee. A lot of people will just go straight to Tuskegee. Tuskegee's one of many. Listen.
And because it's not working fast enough, they're like, well, look, check this out. We need to just go ahead and force this on them completely. Give them these shots, make them believe it's for their health.
Syphilis experiment, the
Come on
Tuskegee
now,
experiment.
and that was not even close to what really happened. Trust me, Tuskegee has 600 participants in the circumstance. When it comes to syphilis, they say they didn't give us health care. They didn't tell you about the over 500,000 women in Nairobi, Kenya with the tetanus shot that was found to have a sterility chemical in it. Verified by the Kenyan government, they shut it down because it was sterilizing these women in Nairobi, Kenya. They didn't tell you about the 1,500 children over in Los Angeles who were experimented on with a dose of a vaccine that was 4 times higher than what was needed, and those children were given this shot without parents' consent. They didn't tell you about the MMR autism study, measles, mumps, rubella, trivalent vaccine, or 3 viruses in 1 needle that was injected into black boys, to where Dr. William Thompson, senior lead scientist over the CDC's vaccine division, admitted that this shot was leaning black boys onto the autism spectrum at the rate of 236%. Some studies say 336% more than Caucasian boys, meaning they were giving black boys autism at the rate of 236% more than Caucasian boys. This is not a joke. This is not a game. They've been doing this for a very long time, and I didn't even mention eugenics. I can go down the list. So shots have been used. Shots have been used for a very long time when it comes to attacking our people. The syphilis study, or Tuskegee, was possibly, if not one of the smallest, the smallest example. But they only shine light on that one because that is one thing that they could use to manipulate, to now say, well, listen, it's because we didn't give y'all health care. We didn't give y'all solutions. But now we got something that is a solution. Black folks, we want to give it to you first. Bill Gates cares so much about black folks all of a sudden.
Right.
Stop it. We got to stop being played by these people. We know how it feels to be pimped. I think we know. We know how it feels to be played. You know when somebody playing you, but for some reason we get confused now because they got a white coat on. They say, MD, I'm this. No, you a damn liar too. You a pimp with a white coat on. That's the difference.
We gotta learn when we're getting played. You gotta learn when someone's BSing you, when they're talking to you and they're BSing you. Do you get what I'm saying? So everything he was spitting there was facts. These are the things that they've done to black people over the years. Non-stop experiments. Every black doctor when you're studying to become a doctor, you got to know the industry that you're coming into. You're coming into an industry that is renowned for experimenting on black people. You got to know that. You got to understand that. You got to understand that you're going into a system. The medical industry is a system that all the time, like since the since the beginning of time, they've been experimenting on black folks, yeah. And because I know this, um, back during the pandemic, and this was way before the vaccines were even out, I did a, I was on the Hidden Truth platform, and I did a debate with two black doctors who were saying when these vaccines come out, black people need to take them, yeah. And I was debating them. Who remembers this debate? I was debating them, and the two black doctors were saying, yeah, black people, you need to take it. This was 2020, before the vaccines even came out. And I was like, okay. And I remember I was telling people how I was going to approach the debate, because everyone was, a lot of people, even Andrew was saying to me, there's people that are saying, why did you get Leon to debate the black doctors? Who is he? And blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, do you know what? When I go in there, I'm not making any statements. When you understand the system, you understand you need to stay in the question lane. So I went straight into question mode. So here's a clip where I do a little game, quote unquote game, where I say true or false. And I was saying to them, I was just saying, doctors, let's just have a little bit of fun. True or false? I'm just gonna say something, and then you just say whether or not it was true or false, yeah? And just watch how hesitant the doctors are to answer this, yeah? Because all I'm asking is this true? Did this happen in history? Yeah. And watch how hesitant the doctors are. You might even hear Andrew laughing in the background. That's how hesitant the doctors are. Listen.
I want to do a true or false game. True or false. So I'm just going to make a statement and I want you guys to tell me if it's true or false. So let's see how we get on with this. True or false? In 1945, after a bone-crushing accident, Eb Cade and a black truck driver was secretly injected with plutonium to see the effects of a nuclear bomb on the body. Was that true or false? True, true, true. Doctors, are you guys willing to participate as well? If you guys can unmute.
And by the way, I can't remember I think the two doctors' names were Carlon Fitzpatrick, and then the lady's name, I think her name was Sarah Filson. I think her name was Sarah Filson, but it was two black doctors, Carlon Fitzpatrick, and the lady's name, the female black doctor, her name was Sarah, I think it's Filson. So you guys can look them up online. Again, I ain't got nothing against these black doctors, because again, they're just the mouthpieces for the usual suspects. But watch how watch how hesitant they are to engage with me. Listen.
Your mic, tell me if
it's your mic, doctors, if you need to.
Just say if it's true or false, doctors. Doctors? No?
Yeah, no, I'm here. Hello.
Did you hear Andrew laughing in the background? You got to hear that part again. Andrew starts busting up. He has to put his mic on mute.
Doctors? No?
Yeah, no, I'm here. Hello.
Was that true or false?
Guessing. I don't know.
You don't know? Okay. That was true. All right, here's the next one. Between 1932 and 1972, with the help of black healthcare workers and physicians, white researchers were able to convince 600 African-American men in Tuskegee, Alabama, to participate in a study of the effects of syphilis on the human body. They suffered through the disease without treatment and subsequently and unknowingly infected their wives and unborn children. Approximately 140 died as a result. Is that true or false?
That's true.
That's true. Yeah, US government offers free.
And notice the other doctor, the female doctor, she's not answering. So I'm going to bring her in, watch. Because I'm like, you're not just going to sit back. I'm going to bring her in, and she gets so uncomfortable. Listen.
Healthcare to southern rural blacks intentionally injects them with syphilis. All right, what about this one? In 2014, Kenya's Catholic Doctors Association accused the World Health Organization, WHO, of chemically sterilizing millions of Kenyan women with the tetanus vaccine. Doctors, is that true or false?
It's true.
It's true. That's true. All right. In 2017, a study by Morganson et al. Showed that the World Health Organization's popular DTP vaccine was killing more Africans than the disease it said it prevents. True or false? Dr. Sarah?
Sorry, I don't know the study.
Okay, you don't know. Okay, cool. That's true.
I had to bring her in. She was just because she knew what was going on. Do you get me? You as a doctor, you need to know the system that you're working for. Do you understand? You need to know that these things have been happening to us, and now you're part of that same system. So she was so under pressure. Do you get me? She tried to stay quiet. Now, in this clip now, I asked them more questions, but people in the chat were answering because I was just like, let's play a true or false game. So people in the chat were doing true or false. But then I was like, frig this, man. Let me just put the doctors under pressure. I was like, all right, these questions are specifically for the doctors. Listen.
This one's for just the doctors. All right, people in the chat, you can answer this one as well. But doctors, anyone severely disabled as a result of the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine will be entitled to a one-off tax-free payment of £120,000. Is that true or false, doctors?
And by the way, you guys answer this because, yeah, this was from 2020, family. This was from 2020. It says anyone severely disabled as a result of the Pfizer vaccine will be entitled to a one-off tax-free payment of £120. Was that true or false? Was that true or false? Listen to what the doctors say.
Doctors?
I think
oh gosh, listen to the doctors.
Doctors?
I think we spoke about this earlier on today anyway.
Yeah, we addressed this already.
Yeah.
There might have been some people that signed up, you know, came in a little bit later. So just true or false? We're just playing a game here. True or false?
So it's going to be added to the list, so it's true.
It's true. Oh, coronavirus, £120,000 compensation will be available to anyone severely disabled by COVID vaccine. Look what it says at the bottom. Anyone severely disabled as a result of the vaccine will be entitled to a one-off tax-free payment of £120,000. So people are saying, wow. So yeah, there were some people that didn't hear about you guys saying it earlier. So we're just trying to keep people up to date here. All right. Another one for the doctors. The new Pfizer vaccine will be life-saving for those who take it. This one is specifically for the doctors. The new Pfizer vaccine will be life-saving for those who take it. Is that true or false?
To be honest, I've got to contest the question because it's a vaccination. So by definition, you can't say whether it will be life-saving or not because it's like having insurance. You can't say whether insurance will save your life.
You can't say whether it's life-saving or not.
But what we can say is that in trials, it's been shown to reduce the risk of infection, which is all you can say about vaccine.
Okay, which is all you can say. All right, so according to the doctors, you can't say that it's life-saving. Yeah, did everyone hear that? According to the doctors, you can't say that a vaccine is going to be life-saving. Well, let's hear what Matt Hancock has to say about that.
They've been in a position to be able to make this authorization
you
now.
Do
so it means that people can start having this life-saving vaccine next week.
From next week.
Start having this life-saving vaccine next week.
Life-saving vaccine next week.
So, according to the government, this is a life-saving vaccine. This is how we create confusion when experts and government and other people who we're supposed to put trust in, one say one thing and the other say the other. Again, I'm not anti-vaccine. I am anti-falsehood. So if doctors are saying, you can't say that something's life-saving, and then the government's saying, this is life-saving, someone's lying.
Mm-hmm. And we now know who was lying. It was Dr. Fauci.
First of all, I didn't recommend locking anything down, and the record will show
Neil, that we didn't recommend shutting everything down. I recommended to the president that we shut the country down. And that was a very difficult decision because I knew it would have serious economic consequences, which it did.
Well, it seems like somebody was lying. Now, let's see what Fauci said when he was subpoenaed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, nothing says honesty like taking the fifth, huh, Doc?
So yeah, they took him, the Dr. Fauci, the one who came out with the 6 meters, the social distancing and shutting down the world and all that. And he had all the data with regards to COVID-19. Now he's in court pleading the fifth.
Let's try something. What day of the week is it today?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color tie you're wearing?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color's the carpet in front of you?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
All right, so he was just up in there doing this.
I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anybody you say fifth? Go ahead, ask me a question. Did you?
All right, on that note, let's open up the forum. Family, by all means, you guys can raise your hand and ask your question or make a comment. I know there must be at least one person from the NHS. By all means, raise your hand. Even if it's to question anything that I've shared tonight. Raise your hand, raise your hand. Yeah, if you got a question or a comment, by all means, raise your hand. But again, according to me, I believe that every Black doctor really should get melanin education. All right, let's go, Yomi. Yomi, you can unmute your mic.
Greetings, Leon.
How's it going, bro? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. Great presentation, by the way.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I would go beyond saying that I agree with you that doctors should be trained in understand melanin, but I'd go beyond that. I think because the Western medical system is definitely part of the white supremacist system, and we clearly can't trust them. They experiment on us. They marginalize us from trials, and they're not even educated on basic things like nutrition and exercise and the side effects of the medication they're prescribing that are causing more side effects. And they separate everything and they put people under knives unnecessarily. And just, as you said, as you pointed out before, with the prostate cancer treatment, the treatments are killing more people than the prostate cancer itself.
Yeah.
So my suggestion is that what I'm trying to get is that I think beyond Black doctors learn about melanin, I think we need to create our own systems, our own hospitals, our own ways of doing things, and go back to like a more holistic approach, because even in ancient African, systems, we used to diagnose disease spiritually first,
Yes.
and then it will be manifest as, on the physical side. And we did everything more holistically. Like, it's not just, treatment for X, Y, and Z. You have to look at the whole person and the whole being. They don't do that in the West. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to add to what and maybe get your views on it, that we need to separate ourselves from their systems, create our own hospitals and own ways of doing things, and from a more holistic standpoint, my brother.
Thank you for that, bro. Well, let's see what the family think. The family in the chat, do you agree? Do you think we need to create our own hospitals and that sort of stuff? Let's get Sandra in the building. Sandra, you can unmute your mic, sis. Sandra? You there, sis?
Hello?
Sandra, how are you?
Hi, Leon. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good, good, good. Nice to hear that, my brother. Well, I've got a few examples of this racist system that we work in and our Black doctors and stuff. First of all, I want to say thank you for the presentation, but also I wanted to say about prostate cancer. I was diagnosed in 2024, 3 weeks after I buried my little brother with breast cancer. When I went to the hospital, I heard something on Instagram. It was a Black guy talking about prostate cancer and breast cancer, that they're linked. So if your dad has prostate cancer, their daughters are at high risk of developing breast cancer. That was me. I didn't find out until I was diagnosed in 2024. Then my oldest sister got diagnosed this year and had to have a mastectomy. So that's what I need to tell this community, and you need to spread it far and wide. That if a man has daughters who's had breast cancer, his daughters are at high risk of developing breast cancer.
Wow.
So that, and when I mentioned it to them, when the doctor said it told me my diagnosis, I said that to him. He said, yes, it's true. I said, but why have you not told our community? Why does my community not know about this?
Exactly.
He couldn't answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a secret. So that's the first thing. The second thing is they are still continuing to experiment on us.
Yes.
Because when I had to have, after my operation, I had a lumpectomy done, and then I had decided they were trying to get me to take this anti-hormone for 5 years or do radio. Can you imagine? For 5 years, right? Anyway,
Jeez.
they said I can have what they wanted to say is have radiotherapy and have the 5-year anti-hormone. That's what they were telling me to do.
Wow.
So I picked the best out of the two evils. I'd have radiotherapy for 5 days and that was it. So she said, no, before I made that decision, this is what the doctor said to me. Okay. I'll tell you what, you've got a decision. You can either have radiotherapy or you can do the 5 years of tablets. Now, if I had not been a healthcare professional and challenging on what she was saying, guess what? I would have had both because that's what she wanted me to do.
Jeez.
I couldn't make sense in my head. It just didn't make sense. What are you doing this for? Right? Plus,
Yeah.
it's not my area. But, I weighed it up myself, did a bit of research, thought, no, this is not that. So I'm now on all the herbal stuff. I've had 1 year cancer free. I've changed my
Excellent.
diet. Yep,
Good.
changed my diet. I've been coming to your events, doing things to help my body. Have my CMOS every day. I'm taking all my soursop leaves, all of that, all of my
Good.
anti-cancer stuff I'm taking. So I'm free.
Good.
Change my
Good. Good.
lifestyle. Not say I really had a bad lifestyle, but anyway, so I'm doing that. But what happened when I went to have my radiotherapy, I had to have a scan. So
Yes.
anyway, I said to them after the scan, this is in preparation, it's there to measure me and all that. And I said, can I see my images? They said, yes. I thought it was going to tell me no. They said, yes. Anyway, the radiographer said to me, oh, those are the titanium rods. I said, what? I said, what? He goes, yeah, you've got titanium rods. I pretended like I knew. They didn't even tell me that they had put 7 rods in my breast.
Oh my days.
7. And guess when I found out it was 7? I thought it was 3. When I had a mammogram not too long ago, right? A couple months back, I had a mammogram and I was able to count all of them. There were
That's
7.
crazy. So
Now,
crazy.
they did not consent me for that. My psychologist put me in contact with a Black women's group who I spoke to, and I said to them, are they aware of this? Because I wanted to spread the word. They said, yeah, quite comfortably.
Jeez.
I was like, you guys are allowing this to happen? My friend, 3 months after I got diagnosed, my friend got diagnosed. And at her hospital, they said they asked her if she wants that in. When I asked them what it was there for, they said to me, well, it's to let the doctors know where the cancer was and what breast it was in.
Oh
And I
my.
said can you believe this, Leon? I
I
said
can't
to them,
believe.
hang on a minute. So the only reason why you wouldn't know what breast and where the cancer was is if I was dead, because I know what breast I had the cancer and I can tell you exactly where it was.
Oh my days.
So your excuse for putting that in my body without consenting me, because
Mm-hmm.
when I looked on my consent form, there was no consent. And when I spoke to my clinical nurse specialist, she turned around and said, oh, no, we don't consent for that. We don't. She said, just calmly like that.
Wow.
Calmly.
Wow.
So I'm
Yet
saying to you,
that
they're
yet
still,
your friend, they asked her. They asked for her consent.
yes, they asked for her consent and she said no. But she didn't tell me that because she told me that after, because I didn't know then, about myself. I hadn't known
Oh,
them, but she said they asked her. So we didn't even have, she just said no. She
oh
didn't
my
want it.
days.
But where I had mine, there was no question of, asking me and consenting me. It wasn't on my consent form. And And they said, no, 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 we don't do that. We don't consent. It's part of the procedure. So part of the procedure. I said, what you put something in. You're supposed to take it out, not put anything
Crazy.
in. And I'm asleep. So, you know, I
Yeah,
just
that's crazy. That is a crazy story.
I'm telling you, it's a crazy story, and that's why I thought I have had something to say to let my community know this is happening. So
Yeah.
anybody, because people don't know it, and if we're not talking about it, nobody's going to know. Yeah,
Mm.
and that's why I'm talking about it everywhere I go. I'm telling people, you understand, like, my community, people keep the cancer quiet, don't tell people. I'm not doing that
No,
because
man, you gotta tell people.
we've got to tell people that this doesn't happen. So if
Mm.
anybody's diagnosed with breast cancer, they ask, you need to know, are you putting rods in my breast? And if that's what you're going to be doing, I want to be consent. I want to know why, blah, blah, blah. And I'm telling you, no, thank you.
Yeah,
It's not
that's
necessary.
exactly. That's exactly it. It should be a thing where you have a choice, but they didn't give you a
Absolutely.
choice.
A
They didn't
proper
give you a choice.
violation.
Yeah.
And now, Leon, I'm in a position where I don't trust anyone to take them out.
Oh man, that's the thing as well. Once it's in
I don't
now, it
trust
really
them.
should come out, but then you need to be able to trust the person or the hospital or the establishment that's going to take it out. So it's crazy.
I don't trust them. I don't trust them.
Yeah. But
So I
thanks
just
for
got to pray
sharing
that
this. Baby Rasta in the chat, she's saying that they do that to all women that have breast cancer. They do that to all women.
they don't do it to all women because they didn't do it to my friend. She said no, they consented. And that's my thing. You don't have to have it done. For what they're saying what it is, it's not necessary. Because if they're saying it's for location, and listen to this, right? When you have a mammogram,
Mm.
all your mammogram does is identify the small lumps. Now,
Okay.
when you see something on a mammogram, because what happened, I got a scare like a year later, and the woman saying, oh, you have to have a mammogram, you have to have a mammogram. I said, no, I don't want to because I've had high dose radiation. I didn't want any more radiation in my body. I don't want to be put through that again. I don't want to add to what, it hasn't even been a year. And I said, no,
Mm.
no, no, I don't want that. I said, what I want is I want to have an ultrasound because
Mm.
at the end of the day, right, Leon, the mammogram's great at picking up small lumps. But what it can't tell you is if that's irregular. That is why everyone has an ultrasound. And then it's down to that clinician to say, yes, this looks suspicious or not. Right? So what
Yeah.
I did, I went straight to have an ultrasound because the woman couldn't hear me, but I was being persistent. I had to say, no, I don't want it. Oh, yes, you go and have that. I said, no, I don't want it. I
Mm.
want to go and have an ultrasound. So she arranged for me to have an ultrasound after me saying no 5 times.
Jeez.
And then I had it, and my sonographer searched on my breast, couldn't find anything underneath where I had the lymph nodes removed, couldn't find anything, and she gave me the all clear.
Oh,
I
wow.
didn't. Do you understand? So you don't.
Yeah.
The screening's great to pick those
Yeah.
up, but
Mm.
it's the ultrasound that's going to actually diagnose you.
Right, 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 right.
It's going to say, yes, that's your lump is suspicious. We have to proceed with having a biopsy or tell them that this is suspicious. We think it's cancer.
Mad. Absolutely crazy.
So we just need to be mindful of that. So anybody on the line, if you get told and they're going to talk about titanium rod, you don't have to have them. They're not necessary. They say they're markers for where the tumor was. At the end of the day, when I went and had my breast screening because I found the lump, and then they did the ultrasound to find it was suspicious. Guess what? I had no titanium rods.
Look at that.
I had no titanium rods.
Mm,
So
mm,
when women go, they don't have but they still find the tumor. Okay?
mm, mm,
They
mm,
still
mm.
find the tumor. So why do you need the rods? For what reason? You're still going to have to go through the same process. You're going to have the screening, the mammogram, and have an ultrasound. So
Yeah,
why do you need it?
it's
Sorry, it's ridiculous. And if I'm dead, then I can't tell you where the lump was. Every woman will know whether she found the lump, and every woman
exactly,
will know what breast it is.
exactly.
So why do you need it? The excuse was rubbish.
It's crazy. But Pat, big up Power of Consent in the chat. He's saying that you might be able to claim, you might have to make a claim, sis, because again, if they're doing things without your consent, then some
Without consent, trust
yeah.
me. I haven't even made an official complaint yet. You know that.
Yeah, no,
And
you
you
gotta
know
do
the
that.
worst thing
You
is,
gotta
it's
do
in the
that, sis.
same hospital that I work.
Oh my days, look at that.
right? I work
Yeah.
in the same hospital.
Jeez, my
And
gosh.
they knew that I was a member of staff.
Mm-mm. This is how they
So
treat the staff.
this is what I'm trying to say.
Crazy.
That's what makes it even more tricky because, you know, I'm going to make the complaint. It's been a year.
Nah, you gotta
So I
make
need to make the complaint sooner rather than later because, you know, it's going to affect loads of other women that walk through the door. But people have heard about it. I
Yeah.
have been talking about it with my prehab group, the group that I
Yes.
went after I had my surgery and stuff. And apparently it's got back to the consultant and
Mm.
the team, and they are now discussing it with patients, apparently. Because
Wow.
that's a big thing, you know, it's a big, big thing. When you are not, you're something's put in your body, you're not even consented to it. And
Yeah,
it's
that's what
not
I'm
even a
saying.
discussion. It's a big, huge thing. And,
And
you know, I might just do that because it's not right. Do you know what I mean? I've got to make something out of it. Not because I
yeah,
want anything out of it. People need to do their job properly.
and
You
here's the
cannot
thing,
do
even
that.
if you do it, yeah, you'll set a precedent because when you do
Yeah.
it, other women will start doing it. If you
Yeah.
don't do it though,
100%.
other women won't do it neither. But if they see that you're courageous, you put in a claim or you do some form of complaint that kind of goes through. Now all of a
Yeah.
sudden you're setting a precedent. Now when they do it to someone else, they know you might have to break some bread with those people because they're gonna put in their claims. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that story, sis. That's crazy. But yeah, I think a lot of women need to understand that because if they're doing that to a lot of women where they're kind of just putting it in there and not telling you, that is crazy. Glenda, let's get Glenda in the building. Glenda, you could unmute your mic. Glenda, if you still got a question, no? All right.
Oh, wow, Sandra. Well, I'm a dialysis patient, and boy, what a roller coaster.
Yes.
You're fighting to stay alive. That's all I can say. When you're in that system, you are fighting to stay alive. The lies, the manipulation, the secrecy is all around you consistently. I've had 3 heart attacks,
Oh my days.
and they haven't told me or given me a report for 2 of them. And every time I ask about the third one, which happened, they all happened in the hospital actually, under their watch.
Yes, I believe
And
that.
yeah, I had my first one when I was to put a catheter in my groin because I needed to be emergently dialyzed. I had a cardiac arrest. All I knew, I woke up and I was hungry. And I just wanted some food, and my friend was just looking at me strange and said, "Do you know what's happened?" I said, "Oh, look, I'm hungry. Get me something to eat, my man." She goes, "Nobody's told you anything." I said, "When? I want something to eat." Later on, she told me you had a cardiac arrest. And when she approached the nurses, they obviously were quite flustered because she wanted to know. And obviously they didn't want to tell her. So she pulled the card, "I'm family." So they had to tell her. Whereas my other good friend, she, knew something was wrong, but she just sat down. Okay, that one. And the only time I knew about that was when I was leaving the hospital and they were handing me my paper. From the 3 weeks I was in there, they never told me what happened. The second one I had was actually in the dialysis center, sitting on the bed. I didn't know anything. When I woke up, I was naked, nothing on me. Gas, this big mask on my face, puffing. So what's going on? I said, "God, where's my clothes?" And my friends was around me, said, "Are you all right?" I said, "Well, obviously something obviously gone wrong." The doctors told my family I wasn't expected to live the night, and you're
Oh
to go
my
and tell everyone
days.
that you won't survive. And we all just lost our sister. My brother he was just wrought. Obviously, rang up the following morning to hear the bad news. Oh, she's sitting up in bed, she's on the phone and she's eating. He said, what's going on here?
This is crazy,
Even
but
to this very day, December 23, they still haven't told me what had gone wrong. The only thing they told me what went wrong was something fell out of the ceiling and hit my hand, and they had to apologize. So I said, you better go and take me for a X-ray to see if there was something wrong, because I knew my arm was quite sore. But my friend,
That sounds like
said, you
another
can't make
case.
this up.
Something from the ceiling dropped on your arm.
Yes, I thought, God,
Oh,
is the place falling apart? I don't know.
That's crazy.
And you know,
that
when you're
dropped on your head.
It could have done, and I could never wake up. I might not have woken up.
Oh my days.
The sister is telling the whole truth and nothing but the truth. There are things in there I can't even talk anymore, too much. But those are the things that they remain hush hush on. They don't tell you. They try to trick me into a treatment. I asked them about the treatment. I said, is there any papers you can give me to read? I said, could I look it up on the computer? The computer's not on. So I sat there and I thought, let me ring my family. Couldn't get any reception. So I said, well, what would happen if, what's the worst? She goes, oh, if it went wrong, you might die within 4 months. I said, I beg your pardon? This is putting some dye in my blood to see something, amyloids. But I don't know what the amyloids are about. They don't tell you anything. They usher you into certain situations. And because you're in the void, you don't think straight. But the ancestors will tap you and say, no. Because I couldn't get any reception to ring anyone. I said, that's saying, I said, you know what? I said, she goes, oh, but if you change your mind, those people are trying to change your mind on an issue. They'll ask you 6 and 7 times, hoping that you'll change your mind. This was in the bed one day. The woman came up to me and said, you need to have this done. I said, oh, no, thank you. You should talk a little bit more, but you would need to have this. And I said, no, thank you. So there's a black nurse standing next to her. I said, does that woman understand what I'm saying to her? Is she deaf? You have to get nasty to the point of almost cussing them.
Yeah.
But because we are of this humble way, we don't cuss. But my sister did. She gone now. She said, Glenda, you make nice. You make nice. Because if you don't make nice, they'll do all sort of something with you.
That's it.
I'm telling everybody on this line now, when you're in that dirty system and you're sick and you don't have a mouth, or you might not be able to find out everything what's wrong with you, you suffer.
Yeah.
Suffer.
Thank you for sharing, sis. And that's such a good point. It breaks my heart hearing a family when you go into these hospitals and you're by yourself. Don't go into these hospitals by yourself, man. Make sure there's someone there. I'll share something with the family. My dad lives in Jamaica, yeah, but he came over during, what was it, 2020 or 2021? He came over during the pandemic because we had a family member who had passed. So he came over and caught COVID. Yeah. And he was in hospital. He had well, they were saying that he was on, what do they call it? Intensive care unit and all that sort of stuff. But trust me, the whole time he was in there, the family were there and we were asking the doctors questions, just staying in the question lane, asking the doctors questions. No way could we just leave him in there. Do you get what I'm saying? No way. So the family, you guys know I'm not a medical professional, I'm not a doctor or anything like that. But if you go into these hospitals, make sure that whoever's in that hospital is not alone and the person who's with them stays in the question lane. Just ask questions and stay there. Just ask questions. Do you get what I'm saying? Because you saw how I put the doctors under pressure when I asked questions. You put the whole hospital under pressure. If you're just there and you're just constantly asking questions, they're not going to do something crazy whilst you're there. Do you get what I'm saying? All right, let's get Esmeen. Esmeen, you can unmute your mic, sis.
Can you hear me?
Yes, how are you?
Okay. I just wanted to make a comment in relation to the question about the Black doctors, because listening to those doctors earlier following a script, it just made me think, what motivates them to do this to, members of their own community? Is it money? Is it self-preservation, or is it a mixture of both?
I think it's money, and I think they don't have a cultural, what's the word, connection to us.
Yeah,
They
but
don't even
doesn't
look at us
that,
as the same people, if you get what I mean.
yeah, yeah, no, I understand that completely, because I've come in contact with some people, and you just have to sort of like think seriously about aligning yourself with them. But I just think, my question is, doesn't that make them a danger to the community? And also, we owe it to ourselves to educate ourselves and become more questioning. Because since I've been coming to when I remember years ago when you used to hold the lectures, and
Yes.
it sort of empowered me to be able to ask questions, to the extent that I went to one doctor once and queried something that she told me, and she printed something off the internet, shoved it in my hand, and said, "Well, you seem to read a lot." And
Oh
and
gosh.
and that was the end of the consultation.
Oh gosh. They
You
get so
know?
upset when we ask them questions. They're forever asking us
Yeah,
questions, but they get so upset when we turn the
yeah,
table.
yeah. And that's what I'm finding. You must come in, just sit down, be talked at, get whatever they give you, and leave.
Yeah. And don't question anything. Don't question the
Yeah.
medication that they give you or your family member. Don't question the surgery. Don't question the treatment. They just don't want you to question anything.
No, it's like a God complex. Really.
Exactly.
Really. Yeah. I mean,
It's like,
that's all I have to say on the matter, really. I just think, with doctors like that, these in
yeah.
particular Black doctors, to me, I mean, it might sound a bit harsh, but I just think we are in danger because we tend to want to trust our own after,
Yeah, exactly. And they know that. They
what
know that.
history has taught us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Thank you for that, sis. Let's get Diane. You can unmute your mic, sis. Thanks for being patient.
Oh no, it's been quite interesting. First of all, I just want to reply to the Black doctor thing.
Yes.
At the beginning of the talk tonight, you said that these doctors, they studied for like 10 years. You would think that they would understand. So, but what's happened to them is, in 10 years of intense study, you have to look at these junior doctors, okay? Because that's what they are. They are junior doctors until
Yeah.
they become a consultant. So they have entered a whole, as you say, system, but a whole new world. And their families and them have worked hard to get there. So they don't want to jeopardize that place. Also, they're kind of brainwashed. It takes a lot for a doctor to come out of the allopathic world into the naturopathic world.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, that's a whole nother, how many more years of study to unlearn certain
Yeah,
things and
yeah.
to now learn on a much deeper level. So I don't feel that I can't trust them. I feel we need to have a little bit more empathy for them
Oh,
because of what
yes.
they've
Yeah.
had to go through. So that's my answer to that. But I'm
Yes.
just going to tell you about what happened to my brother. He was a type 2 diabetic, and he wasn't looking after himself all that well, young people. But he got in a car accident, and they had to use the jaws of life to cut him out. And um, he had a sore on his foot, which then developed into charcoal, which is like a disintegration of your bones. Anyways, when one day he's in the hospital, and they're like, "Oh, we don't know what we're gonna do for you because this is really looking quite serious." One day, one he don't know who he said. I don't know if it was a PT, a physiotherapist, or somebody came in and said, "You know what? They're gonna cut your foot off tomorrow." And this is a 6'7" man, okay, 200 and something pounds, and they told him they're gonna cut off his foot. He's gonna get amputated, and then they left out. And and he called me up and he said, "Dan, get down here now. Get down here. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do, sis." And I came down. I said, what happened?" He said, "They came in here and told me this." Well, I was on the phone to the consultant, and I told the consultant, and you see, this is where I have a little bit of naturopathic understanding of the body, blah blah blah. knowledge. So you have to be so sure when you're talking, even if you don't know, you know.
Right.
You just say, listen, excuse me, one of your people is coming in and psychologically damaged my brother by telling them that he's going to get his foot cut off. And secondly, there's no way. I said, let's do the scan, and I want all of you to come and tell me exactly what is on the scan, the x-ray, the CT, the MRI, whatever it is you're going to do. I want to have a conference with all of you on his team. And I want to know what's going to happen, because there's no way that you're going to cut off this man's foot.
Jeez.
Well, you know, because I stood my ground, you know, they all showed up like the next day.
There you go.
And we had all the scans up on the screen, and we had everything. We had even the one that did open up the mouth. They had to do a formal apology. And then what did they do? They put a titanium plate in my brother's foot, and they connected his toes with wires. And he can stand up and walk around with his 6'7" self. He can't spring off of the foot, which is fine. He has to be flat-footed on one foot, but that's better than hobbling and having a prosthetic.
Right.
Because you imagine, and you know how many people. And I said to them, well, why would someone want to cut off this man's foot? Oh, well, it's just, it's much easier that way. We get rid of the problem. And I'm like, no, you don't get rid of the problem, because he's still flicking type 2 and still things could happen.
Yeah.
But this is what they do. They come
it.
in because it's easier. Let me tell you, for them to amputate a limb takes what, 10 to 15 minutes?
Right.
10 minutes to push you under. Then they just start cutting. Then they keraticize, and then they wrap it up. Boom. Next.
That's it.
That's what it is. So if we don't want to be at their mercy, we also have to encourage ourselves to learn things. Let's start reading more. Let's start understanding more about the human body and how it works. So thank you, Leon, for your book on melanin.
Thank you.
Because it's a treasure. And when we look at all the other authors, like Dr. Sabi, Dr. Africa, Dr. What's this other guy's name? Yeah, Dr. Africa. I think I've got all Dr. Africa's books. We need to learn about our bodies. Let me tell you, we have to take responsibility for our own health.
That's right.
And this is the message that I have to say to everyone. Now, look, I know about food, nutrition, naturopathy, all of that. And yet I still indulge in my coffee and my biscuits because I do quite like them.
Exactly.
But I know that I have to counteract that with decent fruits, vegetables, decent lifestyle, exercise, rest, reduce your stress. The herbal teas, and I've got a whole cupboard of herbal teas. I'm drinking more herbal teas, and I'm cutting back on my coffee.
Yeah.
But we cannot be, and I don't eat fast food because I don't know what the hell is in it. We need to understand that KFC, McDonald's, all this crap out here. Everything somebody say just eat. No, somebody said go to the shop, buy your stuff from scratch, and cook your food. Because what we're putting in our bodies is what is either going to destroy or sustain us.
There you go. Thank you for that, sis.
Thank you. Thank you
for sharing. Really appreciate that. And with regards to stress, that's another thing that Black doctors need to get taught on, how to deal with stress management. Because if you're dealing with the Black community, there's going to be a lot of stress there. Be a lot of trauma there. Do you get what I'm saying? You as a Black doctor, I feel like you have a duty to learn these things if you're going to treat the Black community. Or we're gonna continue to hear these types of stories, family. And unfortunately, these types of stories sound like horror movies, but these are people's lives. And can you imagine if the doctors that we did have took it on board like it was actually their duty to learn certain stuff? Do you get what I'm saying? Like we were saying, educate themselves. The system's not gonna educate them. But if they were to get certain books, like my one, The Hidden Science of Melanin, and my second one, family. This is the second one that's coming out very, very soon. It will be out next month. It's called Melanin and Cannabis. And if I'm being honest, the book is not even about cannabis. It's about a system inside of you which interacts with cannabis. but the system is a very powerful system inside of you. So that's a powerful book. But these are the books that Black doctors need to make sure that they've got in their collection, or they're just going to become the same Black doctors that I showed on this podcast tonight. Yeah. And again, I'm not one to finger wag at the Black doctors because I know it's the usual suspects that have put them up to it. However, you as a Black doctor, you have logic and common sense yourself. That's why I say if everyone just goes with my definition of science, no one would ever be confused again. Science is logic backed up by evidence. In other words, use your common sense first. A lot of these doctors, like someone asks, what is their motive? A lot of these doctors, I feel like their motive is money. And again, they don't have a spiritual connection to the Black community. They don't have a cultural connection. A lot of these Black doctors are with non-Black partners, or they're just not culturally down with us. So they don't even look at us like we're the same people. Do you get what I'm saying? But these are the things that we need to take into consideration. So again, I'm not going to just look at a Black doctor and start applauding like, wow, well done. No, well done what? Like, how is you being Black and being a doctor going to help people that look like you? How is you being Black and being a doctor saying the same stuff that the white doctors are saying? How is that going to help anyone? No, man, you have to understand that you've been put into a position and there needs to be a sense of duty there. Do you get what I'm saying? A sense of pride. Like, nah, there's not too many people that can get into this position. So now that I'm here, I'm not going to say the same foolishness that all these other European and white doctors say. No, man, I got to come with some facts, with some truth. You see what I'm saying? But big up everyone for staying right to the end. If this is your first time tuning in, this is Marshall's Melanin Podcast. We do this each and every Sunday. If you're on Instagram, you can follow me at Leon Marshall Online. If you're on Instagram, please follow. And yeah, hopefully, if I'm sure some of us know either a family member or a family member's son or daughter is, getting their degree in medicine or something like that, share this information with them. When I put out the replay to this on YouTube, by all means, share the video with them. Make them know, hey, fam, if you're going to become a Black doctor, don't be doing the same foolishness that these other doctors were doing. In other words, becoming the mouthpiece for the usual suspects. Because you can't just get away with that. A lot of Black doctors pushed the vaccine. A lot of people, especially Black, well, everyone died from the vaccine, but a lot of people died from the vaccine. So you could argue you've got blood on your hands. You can't just go with what the usual suspects say. Do you understand? And on that note, big up everyone for staying right to the end. Enjoy the rest of your week, family. One love. Genius. Do Black doctors have a duty to learn about melanin? Should melanin education be a part of their training? And if so, who would train them? And what book would they use? What book would they use? My name is Leon Marshall, and that concludes the end of this podcast. Thank you everyone for being a part of this. You're a part of history, trust me. And just remember, be the light you seek. Just shine, man. More light, more love, more life. One.
Thanks for listening to Marshall's Melanin Podcast. If you like this episode, share it with your friends and family. To watch previous episodes, search Marshall's Melanin Podcast on YouTube. And if you're on Instagram, follow the scientist at Leon Marshall Online. Tune in next week for another explosive episode. And remember, keep shining.